Should I buy the East End or the West End? I'm priced out of Midtown. I'd love to live on the beach. Can't afford that. Can't afford the hillside, even though I love those views. But I really love Ventura. This is where I want to be. But am I an East Ender or the West Ender? Well, we're going to get into that right now. So thank you guys so much for watching East End versus West End. What's the difference? So the biggest difference is there's going to be three things that really shine on Ventura's West End, and then three things that really shine on the East End, and a couple of things that really make them instrumentally different. So first off, the best things about the West End, here we go, starting with West End again, is that it's the closest to the beach in downtown. So you get that proximity of lifestyle that Midtown has to offer, or beach or Pierpont, or sometimes even hillside. There's some hillside homes on the West End too. The little secret about these secret view properties for right around $1 million. So the West End people, that's what they're looking for. They like more eclectic, probably more diversity. The taco district, for goodness sakes, the sorry market, Indian food. Just a little bit more culture, a little bit more urbanization on the West End. Old school Spanish style bungalows, like that type of character and charm. People are drawn to the West End right away, and that's where they want to be. A lot more opportunity for that multi-generational, where you've got a duplex or a detached unit. That's going to really be happening on the West End. Now, what are some of the things that people like about the East End? Okay, so number one, on the East End, you're going to get probably a newer construction. I mean newer, I mean 70s, 90s, early 2000s, you'll see construction, which is actually a pretty big difference because of the progress that was made. It's one thing to be updating a home that's 30 or 40 years old. It's another thing to be updating updates of updates that got updated, like the West End on 100-year-old homes. So there's a lot less work to do oftentimes on the East End. On the East End, I call them a 4-square house or 3-square house, which means you got a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, or a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, almost all of those properties. And they almost all have a front yard, a good amount of front yard, and they have a good amount of backyard. And they're just square lots, rectangular shaped lots. Some are a little bit more densely compact than others. To start out, you've got Montalvo. It's got a little bit of that old school feel that you might find in Midtown or the West End. Like Grandview, Grand Street, Elizabeth Street, and it even has a little bluff that might even have some views on that almost East End but Montalvo area. But really the East End, if you basically start at like Telephone Road, below the 126, any one of those streets or subdivisions, as you get out, you got Blanche Reynolds School. Most of those homes are going to be like a price between like 800 and $1 million, and then as you move up above the 126 and Telephone to Telegraph, and then to Foothill and Loma Vista Road, that's when the homes start getting bigger. You get maybe the 5-bedroom, you get the presidential track, where you get these big 5-bedroom homes, a little bit more luxury level. We're going to hit the 1.2s, 1.4s, 1.6s. So the number one thing is that you're going to get a newer build. The second thing is you're probably going to get a little bit more square footage. You're going to get really, flat, usable land, but your proximity is not going to be as good. Okay, you're going to be driving oftentimes to go shopping. There are some good little shopping centers. You're closer to the collection. You can go to, shops like that, the Targets and Whole Foods. So you're kind of closer there in a way, but you're still driving. You're still kind of going over a bridge to get there. Either the 126 Wells Road, or you're going down Johnson to hop over the 101 Santa Clara River to get to the collection. So the thing about it is out on the East End, there's more properties to choose from, so you get a higher population because Ventura is almost shaped like in a V. As the foothills go out that direction towards Santa Paula and Fillmore, it starts to kind of go northeast, and then as the 101 goes south, it kind of goes southeast. So it goes in kind of two different directions. It creates this great width all the way up to about Wells Road, where there's a whole bunch of old farmland that was developed in these other subdivisions, and there's a lot more homes for sale. I promote the West End a lot. Jessica Judd in my office, she does the East End a lot. She's kind of doing more deals because there's more properties out there. I'm like, Jess, how you doing it? And she's a great agent. But that's one of the things is that there's a lot more properties to choose from, which keeps that price point down. Hence, you get a little more home for your dollar out on the East End. Also, it's a little bit newer construction, not as much fix up, and you're more likely to get something that's, renovated, well taken care of, and kind of a property that's more further along. However, lifestyle, a lot of times people get attracted to that Ventura lifestyle, want to walk, bike to the beach, strap that bicycle on, or strap the board on a bicycle rack, ride off, grab a burrito on the way home, that type of thing. That's West End all day. So when it comes to like West End and Midtown, a lot of times those are things. So let's go over it again. So the East End, you've got kind of newer construction, bigger homes, better price per square foot. And then it's the schools. The school district tends to excel a lot out there. I think the schools are good all over. You've got Dad on the West End. You've got Blanche Reynolds and a couple others over on the East End. Mound Elementary, super popular. A lot of parent involvement in that school. But that's really what it is. It's kind of like the schools, 4 square houses. You're going to have less riffraff. There's some over there, like at the shopping centers in Scandia. But for the most part, it's not really in your neighborhoods. Midtown and West End, you're going to have, some homeless people coming through and picking through your cans and stuff like that. A little bit of transient, like looking if you left your bike or skateboard on the front lawn, but not so much out there on the East End. So the biggest difference really are those things. If bring your hammer if you're coming to the West End. You're going to have some fix up and some maintenance to do. But the West End, it really just comes down to lifestyle. The people who buy on the West End, they need a little bit more of an urban feel. They want to feel like they're kind of in the heart, in the bustle of it, or downtown adjacent. So you've got that going on. And the selection over here is a little more slim. We've got like certain hot pocket streets, the Vince Lewis Carr. We've got the Simpson Track, Simpson Center, Prospect, a few in between that are pretty good as well, Warner and Flint. But then we've got some rougher areas, Riverside and Ramona and the Bellway, some places that aren't as far along that need more help. But when you go further down Ventura Avenue, the West End, you actually get to Solona Heights, which is newer construction, only about 7 or 8 years old. And those are like luxury homes, 4 to 5 bedroom homes with like multiple bathrooms, full on upgrades, all your modern finishes and flares. And then some of those properties that push up to the Seneca and Dakota Track, those have views. If it's the right home, the right lot, you get ocean views, Taylor Ranch, diving into the ocean with a perfect sunset of the Channel Islands in the background. It's pretty epic. Not getting any views on the East End. You're not. And you're definitely driving to go shopping. So it really depends on what favors you more. If you want that quiet, more, walk around the neighborhood, kind of slow, a bit boring, kind of dull, but that's you. That's what you like. You want it to be quiet, and you definitely don't want to see any homeless people running around. I'm going to say any, but a lot less down on the East End. Having, riffraff or transient behavior. They're out there, but not like they are in Midtown, downtown, and West End. Now, the West End, though, if you want it to be bustling and you're talking about going somewhere downtown for the evening or getting those coffee shops early in the morning on a walk and just having like kind of a world of possibilities from just walking out the front door, you're probably a West Ender. And then if you are curious about Midtown versus West End, check out our Midtown versus West End video. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you guys soon.